He's wearing, you can see he's got a mislabeled shoe over here. Or I'm no scientist or English major or anything, but RUNNING.
Running.
I don't know what that word means.
Yeah, I don't know what these are for, but it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say lifting right in there, so save those for what they're made for. Whose turn is it? Is it me? Is it you? Todd over here has been hanging and banging with Mike O'Hearn for many, many years down at Gold's Gym Venice. They've been friends for a long time, and I was just saying Mike is a great mentor and he's an awesome person to learn a lot of things from, discipline being one of them. But how to lift is a little bit harder to learn from Mike because Mike is just so damn strong. And also he moves really, really well. So he may not have the same hurdles that someone else may face, and then therefore he might not understand exactly what somebody else is going through. A lot of times, sometimes the best lifters don't always make the best coaches. I don't claim to be the best coach, but I am a people's coach, and I do have to fix Todd Abrams' form for today. So one thing I saw right away, even with just 225 on the bar, Todd is kind of yanking on the bar a little bit, which can be okay. We see some lifters do it, but usually they're like, I would put them in a category of being a professional power lifter, like a Kaler Woolham. They might yank on the bar and have a certain type of form or technique, but certain forms and techniques are developed over a long period of time, and maybe it just suits that person. Bones Jones can do something much different than somebody who's just starting out in MMA, correct? We all agree, we're on page 43. Good, we can move forward. One thing I'm seeing him do is he's yanking on the bar a little bit and then picking his chin up to try to make up for kind of losing his back a little bit, even in the beginning portion of the lift, even with lightweight like 225. What we can get him to do is, I know he's strong enough because I've seen him on the rows and stuff like that. He's plenty strong enough we can get him to pack his chin in a little bit, get him to keep the mid and upper back a little bit sturdier, and the hips will move a lot better. So that's what we'll work on in the next set with him. For now, we're going to do a bunch of sets of 3, probably between this weight and about 325 or so. Not going to go any heavier for today. I'll have Todd go back down to 225 so we can work on that form. We get the form locked in, then we'll add weight.
Yeah, I always thought you're supposed to drive with your chest up.
Yeah, some people can put their head up, and Mike O'Hearn kind of does that. He'll pick his head way up. Ed Cohn used to do that, one of the greatest deadlifters of all time. So it's not necessarily wrong, but in order to organize this area right here, the middle of our body, the thoracic spine, it doesn't have a lot to do with this. Like, this doesn't move a lot when I'm doing this motion, right? Mm-hmm. But it will move a bunch if I just push my head this way. Push your chin back towards your throat, like you're trying to make a double chin, and your chest kind of automatically pops up a little bit. Okay. And so that's all we're trying to do, is trying just to organize this mid part of our body here so it doesn't do this. Okay. If we deadlift like this, we're in a lot of trouble. If we bench like this, we're in a lot of trouble. And if we squat like this, we're in a lot of trouble. So all 3 lifts need to be down and in here. And with a deadlift, you want to try to bend the bar just like we would in a bench press, just like we would in a squat. Bend the bar around your body, turn the straight bar into a trap bar, make it go here. Try to bend it so much that it's here, and now we're in a good upright posture. You can still kind of look up, but you really do want your chin to be at the very least, back behind your chest. So you think about that, if you're gonna get in here and try to pick your head up, you're gonna need to have the mobility to drive it back even further, which would mean that you'd have a lot more mobility in your ankles and your hips, because I don't have enough to do that. Because once I start getting here, like, I want to pick up my body in order to have my chin back behind my chest. I need to be like all the way up here almost. So try to pack the chin in. So we're working with Todd, and we're trying to get him kind of organize his spine here. You can see long torso, right? He's got a lot of stuff to keep organized throughout the whole range of motion. Push through the floor like a leg press. Yep. Stop for just a second, and let's have you stand up without the bar. Todd's also, he's what, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'3".
Yeah, he's tall. Taller than me, right? His feet are kind of, I call it sandwiching in a little bit. Probably because I'm fat. I got to refer everything to food.
The shoes too.
Yeah, it could be the shoes a little bit too.
Normally it's just flat.
Yeah, a lot of people deadlift barefoot. He's caving just a little bit. We can all agree that, like, if we were to deadlift like this, probably wouldn't lift a lot of weight, right? So you want to try to force the knees out a little bit And the other thing we're gonna do is let's maybe get the stance in a little closer. Maybe just scoot that way a little bit. Point the toes out a little bit. There we go. Just by getting a little closer, I'm hoping that he'll be able to keep his knees out where his arms are a little bit more. There we go, good. Think about it being a hinge of the hips and a leg press. Pushing through the ground and pulling the weights into you. Pushing through the ground, pulling the weights into you. Let's have you put the weights in again. Just rest a few seconds and have you do one more set. Everything's starting to kind of click, although I did see the hips pitch up a little bit early. So let's have you use your butt. Just like we were using our butts on this. Remember, if you use your butt, you flex your butt, you can save your lower back. So you want to have your hips engaged the whole time. Use your butt early in the lift. Force the knees out against where your arms are. Yep, good. Good, keep the glutes engaged. Flex the quads so you stand up all the way straight. There we go. Yep. Flex your butt, chin packed in. Chin packed in even at the bottom. Yep. This can get really embarrassing, but you can do this. You can take a ball and stick it underneath someone's chin. Fill in the jokes, fill in the blank, but you put a baseball underneath someone's chin and just force them to keep it there the entire time. Or an apple, whatever you want. Nice, there you go, good. Three, yep, try two more. Good, last one. Good. I think, a huge thing I see with a lot of people, Todd actually moves pretty good. He's very athletic, but at 6'3", maybe it doesn't make sense to have the hips super low. So he may have to start out with a little bit higher hip position, because if you start with a super low hip position, let's just say you start down here with your hips. Yeah, so like let's just say my ankles were mobile and they were flat on the ground, right? If I tried to start from here, from this position here, and the first movement I got was a lot of this, right? If I got a lot of that going, just my hips moving a lot without the bar coming off the ground, then why don't we kind of make a compromise and say, okay, I'm gonna kind of split the difference on that, and I'm gonna start like more, maybe about here. Make sense? We still need our hips to be lower than our shoulders. We still need our back to be flat, but as long as the back is flat, as long as the hips are lower than our shoulders, maybe we can start with a slightly higher hip position, because if the hips move, a lot of times we're gonna lose our lower back positioning, and the back's gonna start to really round over a lot. And we don't want the back to round over excessively in a deadlift. Even if it does round over, whatever position it starts in, we wanna be able to kind of finish in that same position. So some guys might go up to the bar with a little bit of a rounded mid or upper back, and they may actually pull that way. But we don't want that to round further as we go, because we'll have a hard time locking out, and it's just also potentially dangerous for our back. So if you started even slightly rounded, that might be okay. We got to figure out a way to maintain that position throughout the range of motion. Then straighten the legs out all the way, bring the hips up real high. Hold on a second, bring them up higher. Okay, do you guys see that right there? You see the back fall apart as he tried to straighten the legs? So we do have some tight hamstrings, right? Yep. Oh shit, we're in a lot of trouble now, Todd. I don't know what to do. Let's, hold on, get the legs straight. Can you straighten them all the way, or they feel like they're gonna blow out? You see how much the lower back started to really round? So he doesn't have a strength issue. The hamstrings are actually just really tight. So we're gonna go from here. This looks manageable. And now what I want you to try to do is start to straighten the back out a little bit and start to pull down and back, and then bend the knees as much as you can, and then pull the weight all at the same time. Whoop, that ended up being a stiff leg deadlift. We still need to squat down, so bring the hips up high, and then we're gonna bring the hips down low, and then we're gonna pull. Yep, right there, yep, good. Good, let's practice that a little bit more. Get into the hamstrings a little bit more. There we go, good. Just let go of the bar and stand up without the bar for a second. Shake it off. Think about it for a second. Think about something that pisses you off. Think about a time you've been wronged in your life. I'm sure it's happened more than once. Get a little angry and rip the weights off the ground. There we go. Good, swoop underneath that weight. Get those quads in there. There we go, good. This isn't gonna happen overnight. You're not gonna just like pick up a movement like this out of nowhere. But really what we're trying to do, I'll go ahead and show you again, just rest for a second. trying to do, we're trying to shove the knees forward of the arms, and because it's a conventional deadlift, we're trying to actually shove the knees forward of the barbell as well. Sumo deadlift, knees are probably going to be in line with the bar or back behind the bar. Conventional deadlift, you want to push them forward a little bit to kick that weight off the ground. Swoop down underneath it, pull. Swoop down underneath it, pull. Hop in there, Todd.
Much more power.
Yep. And it's easier for me to demonstrate because I got a lower percentage of my, there's a lower percentage of my absolute max on there, so for him, it's going to definitely look different. And we could even have him start out a little bit lighter weight, but this should be okay. There we go. Look, I like how he did that. Look, he came up with his own style. That's okay to do. You're free to do that. What is he doing? He's moving the weight better than he was before, right? This is excellent right here. This is perfect. All right, keep doing that 100 times.
I felt easier for me. I don't think as much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So look, he just adapted what I said with what he could do. That's what I'm hoping happens for all of you. That's perfect right there. You coach somebody and they think to themselves, shit, I just tried it Mark's way. You know what? If I'm being honest with him, that kind of felt like shit, but I don't want to say anything because it's his gym. I want to be nice. So he came up with his own technique in between what I was saying. And he did roll the bar into him, as we see Brian Shaw do, Eddie Hall, and some of the greatest deadlifters of all time.
Do you classify that as cheating?
Yeah, that's totally cheating. Congratulations. That's strength training. That's powerlifting. Powerlifting is finding a position and maintaining that position throughout an entire range of motion. An entire range of motion that would get passed in a powerlifting meet. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're up against, and it gets to be really hard. And we end up with a lot of faulty movements without the bar moving properly. And that will not result in you getting stronger. It will not be encoded into your CNS, your central nervous system, the right way. You won't get the right feedback. You won't get the right training. You also won't recover from your workouts as well. So it's hard to just try to always be the form police all the time, but a lot of people just need to slow the hell down and get the lift the right way, learn how to crawl before you start walking, and learn how to walk before you run. And before you start running, make sure you have all these other basics down before you go off and try to do a sprint. There you have it. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. I'll catch you guys later.